Okay, time's 6:30. We'll start our public comment period. Views expressed by the individuals during the public comment period do not necessarily reflect the views of the city of Fremont and have not been verified for accuracy by the city. As a reminder, city council and staff are not permitted to respond to comments or questions during the public comment period. In accordance with Fremont Municipal Code 2-103, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. It should not contain topics included on this evening's agenda. First speaker.
The first speaker this evening is Ron Block.
You have to excuse my voice. I'm still not back to where I'm gonna be hearable. Ron Block, 1500 West Military, Fremont, Nebraska. Well, this is my 3rd time up here for the same item that some city officials are just ignoring. What is wrong with this request that you people on 2nd, 3rd floor don't want to do anything about? Last time I said the buck stops with you, Jody, the city administrator. This is true. She can't administrate. If you can't resolve this simple problem, how can you run a city? Dodging simple problems is how you are judged. Sarah Palin is coming up later this week, as requested by the governor, to see me on another matter. Her and the governor are going to hear about this. Non-compliant. If this problem isn't resolved by, we done? No. Okay. If this problem isn't resolved by 5 o'clock tomorrow, I will fix the mistake and probably not to the best results. It's up to you, City Council, to make these people responsible for what has happened and not to have this happen to another taxpayer for failure to do what they are paid to do and act. Thank you for letting me speak.
The next speaker is Seth Coates.
Seth Coates, 1215 County Road X, Fremont, Nebraska. I don't think this will be the first time that you've heard this objection, but we'll make an objection on the record and give the city notice what I believe is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I'll also be submitting an objection in writing to the city clerk. At 6:30, a quorum of the city council is assembled to receive public comment concerning city business. Citizens are addressing their elected representatives. Information is being received and the people's business is now being conducted. The Open Meetings Act specifically establishes requirements that apply at the beginning of the public meeting. Those requirements have not occurred here tonight, and I'm placing the city on notice of that concern. It is not based on speculation. It is supported by Nebraska law and by the Nebraska Attorney General disposition addressing this very issue. I'm not going to spend 3 minutes litigating that issue from the microphone. You have counsel and you have statute, and you have the ability to examine it for yourself. And frankly, that is the larger point I want to make tonight. I'm not an angry constituent. I've never come before the council and argued that one person deserves more than another. I've never asked anyone to bend a rule for me or for my family or for anyone in the community. What I've asked for is repeatedly is fairness. I've asked that people be judged by the same standard. I've asked that public employment actually be based on merit, qualifications, and abilities. I've asked that when something does not look right, someone in government be willing to stop and independently ask why. That is what I've been asking you to do with accredited diploma policy. It is what I'm asking you to do with the Open Meetings Act concern. Not to simply accept my interpretation, but also not to reject it, simply because an attorney or administrator tells you everything is fine. Look at it yourselves, because this council is capable of reading the law. This council is capable of understanding it, asking questions about it, and recognizing when an explanation does not seem to match what the law or the record actually says. Citizens of Fremont are also capable of the same and should not be treated as though they are incapable of understanding their own laws and government. Citizens should not be expected to simply accept an answer because it comes from City Hall. But the same is true of you. You were not elected to surrender your judgment to an attorney or to an administrator. Your judgment matters. Your civic conscience matters. So when something does not look right, ask why. Look at the statute, look at the record, and look what has actually happened. And decide for yourself whether the city is right. Because it's not about winning an argument. It's about whether fairness, equality, merit, and the rule of law still matter when applying them becomes inconvenient. Correcting something that is wrong is not disloyalty to this city. It is a public service. Ultimately, it's your duty to the people who place you there. I'll extend you a courtesy not afforded to the Civil Service Commission. Before you proceed without correcting, read Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1414 for yourself, subparagraph 4, and then exercise your own judgment. 84-1414, subparagraph 4. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Ray Tuff.
F 1537 Brewer Drive. Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm here to request immediate action regarding Forever Home and the $20,000 per month in taxpayer funding being paid under this contract. The contract is not being fulfilled. First, Forever Home is failing to consistently accept owner surrendered animals as required. This is not optional, and it's not a suggestion in the contract. It's a core service that the city is paying for, and it's not being delivered. Residents are being left without the services that they are paying for through public funds. Second, the organization is approximately 4 months behind on mandatory reporting. Even more concerning, the reports that have been submitted are incomplete and do not meet basic standards of accuracy or compliance. That means that the city is operating without reliable data on intake, outcomes, or services provided. So the situation is very simple. Taxpayer money is going out every month, but the city is not receiving the services or accountability in its contract that it is contractually owed. This is a failure of compliance, transparency, and responsibility. I'm here to ask the council to take immediate action, stop the $20,000 per month payment effective immediately until compliance is restored. Require full submission of all overdue reports within a strict and immediate deadline, and conduct a formal audit of intake reports and owner surrender handlings. Do not resume the payments until the city can verify full contract compliance in writing. Continuing to fund a contract that is not being fulfilled is not responsible governance. It's misuse of public funds. The city either enforces its contract or it does not. And right now, enforcement is not happening. I expect action, not delays, and I expect accountability, not excuses. Thank you.
The next speaker is Gary Payne.
Good evening. I wanted to just bring to your attention that I think a lot of people in Fremont don't know about that law that was brought about in 73 about the homeowners responsible for the sidewalks and the trees between the sidewalks and the street. Some are and some aren't. I found that stopped at 73, but I also found out the city was still removing trees in the 80s. And here's the problem. I'm on Social Security and so is my wife. We're tax exempt, but we've paid taxes. I've been working since I was 14. And the sidewalks are getting terrible in Fremont. And I believe that you're going to have a big problem if you bring lawsuits against the people that own these houses and the ones that rent them out to fix the sidewalks when they're so broken up as they are in Fremont. It's hard to get around on them. And the tree situation, that's fine. But then I understand that when we cut part of this tree down, if something happens and the tree falls out in the street, then I'm responsible for any damage it causes to cars or people or anything else. That don't make sense. So the sidewalks to the streets always been considered to cities. The homeowners always supposed to take care of it. But now when I found this stuff out, that since 73, the city don't fix the sidewalks. Now we have to fix them ourselves. I don't think that's proper or right. You own the sidewalks. You own between the sidewalks and the street. That isn't proper for us to have to pay for tree removal when it's dying. And it's not proper that we have to fix the sidewalk when it's so damaged. If you ever rode around Fremont on a sidewalk with a bike, you're going to have trouble getting around. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Steve Ray.
Steve Ray, 1445 North Irving. I just want to ask the council if they need, I think they need to start looking at ordinances concerning these e-scooters, these e-bicycles that go like 50 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour, and all the UTVs that are running around on our streets. I see them all the time. I seen 3 yesterday. They don't license them. They drive them all over. I know they were supposed to be a help for some older people to get around and stuff, but it's being abused terribly by a lot of people. They're supposed to have license to drive them. And the scooter situation is just, I got 3 kids in my neighborhood. I about killed one the other day. They don't pay a bit of attention to what they're doing on them scooters. There was 2 on that little scooter, and they were probably going about 25 mile an hour. And they were going straight, and I was coming, and all at once they just zagged right in front of me. If I wouldn't have caught them, I'd have run right over. The one did fall off partially, and they just kept going then. But I think the city, there's other cities, I know it's a big problem, but I think you need to start thinking about what you're going to do with it. They just don't pay any attention, and they're on the sidewalks, they're in the streets. They have no business being on the streets. I seen a unicycle the other day going down Bell Street. He's probably going 40 miles an hour. I don't know. Something like that going down the street like that's a major problem, I would think. So I think you just need to be aware of it. I know other cities are addressing it. And it's gonna be something hard, but I think you need to start taking a look at it because, and I'm just not me. There's a lot of people I've talked to and they say, oh yeah, they're just all over. You can't hardly avoid them. And the parents should be held responsible, I think. They're the ones that buy them and they just let their kids take off and run them. And when it comes to the UTVs, we do have laws and the city can restrict it more than the state has as far as if they need to be licensed. And I've seen kids out in Washington Heights when I've been out there, probably 10, 12 years old driving. And they're supposed to have a license to drive, period, to run them. So it's just something I think you need to start looking into. And I know a lot of city councils and cities are having that problem.
Thank you. Time is 6:45. If you want to speak, please sign up at the front counter by Jody.
Excuse me, I missed the third speaker. Corey Varlick is our next speaker.
Okay. Please state your name and address, please.
My name's Corey Varlick, 737 West 4th Street, Fremont. I'm a graduate of Fremont High. I've lived here my whole life. I have a house over by the M Street Rail Crossing, and I'm an avid railroad fan. I feel that I can be a bridge to this topic. I come before you to talk to you about opportunities for quiet rail crossings. I believe that we have a couple of rail crossings in Fremont that have all the stipulations that can be quickly turned into quiet rail crossings. That is M Street and Union Street, both on the Union Pacific Main Line. I believe with some effort, we can also change and make some upgrades to some rail crossings that could affect the schools out on Luther and Johnson's Crossing Road. I believe with other states, with other cities of our size, North Platte has eliminated all rail crossings. Grand Island has mostly overpass rail crossings with only a few quiet rail crossings. Kearney, complete rail crossings quiet. And our only local rail crossing is Lake Ventura. So I would just ask, can we look at something for the city of Fremont? And I believe this is something that we could make the city a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll close the public comment period. The time is 7 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Time is now 7 o'clock. I'll open the Community Development Agency agenda. Meeting's called to order. The Opens Meeting Act is available for public inspection at the table in the center, in the front of the room, and a copy of the complete agenda and backup is available on the table in the center of the room. Roll call.
Eight members are present, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, I have a couple service awards tonight. Jeffrey Rasmussen, 25 years of service. There's not a mayor's comments. You want me to move on to the service? I'll move it on. Okay. That's fine. All right, we'll go to item 1, resolution 2026-002, approving the collateral assignment and pledge agreement of TIF note for Jaeger Hospitality LLC. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Travis Jaycott, City Attorney. You have another one of these collateral assignments of the TIF note for Jaeger Hospitality LLC. They've requested that we do this, and there's no cost. It's just a record for who's going to be able to be assigned the note. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Okay. See none. Comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner?
I will make the motion that we approve resolution 2026-002, approving the collateral assignment pledge agreement.
Councilman Vaughn?
I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Vaughn?
So moved.
Councilman Horner?
Second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We're adjourned the Community Development Agency Center. We'll now go to the regular council meeting. It is now 7:03. Meeting is called to order. Roll call.
Eight members are present, Mayor.
Thank you. Now I'll go to mayor's comments. I do have some service awards today. Jeffrey Rasmussen, 25 years of service. Jeffrey was hired in 2001 as a senior engineering associate. And Christopher Holt, 15 years of service. Chris was hired in 2011 as a heavy equipment mechanic with the street department. In 2024, he was promoted to the street construction supervisor position. So 25 and 15 years, we can give them a round of applause even though they're not here. On item 1, motion to adopt the agenda for the regular city council meeting for July 28, 2026. Councilman Von Baron.
Mr. Mayor, we have one of the people that we've asked to comment on our animal ordinance agenda items has a family conflict that has come up. Could we move item number 24 up earlier in the agenda, possibly maybe even just ahead of the consent agenda?
Item 24.
Yes, I think that's, I hope I'm quoting the right number.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yeah, 24.
You want to move it above consent?
If we could.
Is that a motion?
Please, yes, I so moved.
Councilman Vaughn?
I will second that motion.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I need to take a motion for amended agenda? Is it okay? Okay. I'll move on to appointments. Item number 2, motion to confirm appointment of Derek Lehman as police officer per mayor recommendation. He was approved by the Civil Service Commission. You guys have any other questions? If not, I'll take a motion. Councilman Horner?
Yeah, Mayor, I will make that motion to approve or confirm the appointment of Derek Lehman as mayor office per your recommendation. I'm sorry, as a police officer per your recommendation.
Councilwoman Ganem?
I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 3, move to consent the mayor's appointment to the Airport Advisory Committee. Brad Crummell grew up in Fremont and graduated from high school in 1999 and worked as an aircraft mechanic at the Wahoo Airport. Did we need a motion to receive his bio? Councilman Jensen,
Motion to receive the biography.
Councilman Horner,
I'll second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
thank you. Yep, I'm just giving a couple minutes here. Everybody get a chance to look at it? Okay. If that's the case, I'll take a motion for it. Councilman Vaughn?
I would heartily recommend, just one little clarification, in the report, in the last paragraph, it talks about additionally, the resolution creating the Airport Advisory Committee requires the mayor with Senate Council to designate one member as the chairperson. Is that wrapped up in this same resolution, or is that a separate thing?
It is connected, yes.
It is connected?
Yep.
Okay. I have no objections and motion to approve it. Nobody else has comment.
Councilman Jensen,
I will second that and thank Brad for his willingness to serve.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
thank you. On to public hearings, item 4, resolution 2026-188, conditionally approving the conditional use permit for a convenience store with fuel sales in an FC Flex Commercial District, generally located at 4461 North Broad. Staff?
Evening, Mayor, Council, Jeff Ray, Planning Director. So you have before you a conditional use permit for fuel sales for a convenience store that Casey's has applied for on Deborah and North Broad. This convenience store is in the Flex Commercial zoning district, which requires fuel sales with a conditional use permit. The conditions are all being met. The fuel pumps are set back a minimum of 25 feet from the property lines. The canopies are a minimum of 20 feet. The fuel pumps are located a minimum of 50 feet from any residential district. The canopies have a minimum maximum height of 17 feet, and the canopies shall be lit underneath and shielded from above. There should be a landscape transition zone, and the drainage areas are going to gravel and or grassy lots on the side, not directly into the street. Planning Commission viewed this, had a public hearing. There was no opposition, and on July 20th, they held their public hearing and they voted 8-0 unanimously to approve this conditional use permit for fuel sales within the Flex Commercial District. I don't take any questions.
Questions from council? Councilwoman Lathrop?
Jeff, I know at Planning Commission, they had questioned maybe a traffic study of that area due to it being directly across from SAPS. Any word on that?
I did have a conversation with the city engineer. She could address that directly. I know that she did do some research and felt that with the traffic volumes that were there and that there were only 4 accidents that have been recorded there in the last 3 years, that was not warranted at this time. It is
Councilman
also
Vaughn?
in the county.
On a slightly more lighthearted note, I'm just hoping they have the pizza there. That's all I got.
Same.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, if I'm reading this right, it looks to me like the access for this is going to be coming in off of, what is that, Kathy there?
It's the access is off of Deborah. There's
Deborah,
2
Deborah,
entrances
sorry.
off of Deborah.
So they're not going to be turning directly in off of Highway 77. They'll be turning into Deborah and then coming in.
That is correct. Broad Street is restricted access there.
And then the other point too is just to kind of go off of what Councilman Lathrop said. The county has within that period of time, that 3-year period of time, they have already reduced speed limits out there to address some of the safety concerns. Have they not? Am I remembering that incorrectly? Because I'm pretty sure it was 55 miles per hour going along there, and it's now 45. It doesn't start 55 until it hits right before the overpass going north, and then it's right after the overpass coming south.
I'm unaware of any change, but it is still 55 in front of this site, between this site and the Sapp Brothers to the east.
I believe that is now 45.
Just a little bit further south. Maybe different on north versus south.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's answer that question.
Hi, Anna Allen, City Engineer. Thank you, Jeff. I know there's been a couple questions. Planning Commission, they had asked about the traffic study. Jeff and I talked about that a bit earlier. With this being a zone change or conditional use permit for the property, we don't really have any other details on that property yet. And it's only going to be one business right now. If there's more businesses that come in that would create more vehicular traffic, we would look at it there also. We will talk with the county to your question, Councilman Horner, about traffic speed limits through that area. We do want to look at the traffic, the speed limits throughout that corridor, including right there in front of Sapp Brothers as we come south through town and through town. So we've already collected some data, some traffic counts and some speed data in that area. So we'd like to take a look at that data and see what it says and look at any recommendations that might come out of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay. Open the public comment period. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period. I'll come back to council for a motion or any other discussion. Councilman Horner.
You know, it's gonna be nice to see that area right there developed, that little corner developed. So I will happily make the recommendation for approval of resolution 2026-188, conditionally approving a conditional use permit for a convenience store with fuel sales.
Councilwoman Lathrop,
I will second.
is there any comment from you, TJ? Oh, okay.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, resolution 2026-189, conditionally approve a preliminary plat for Highland Enterprises LLC for a property generally located at Lot 5, Block 5, Deers 4th Edition, and the east 124 feet of Outlot B, Deers 8th Edition, and unplatted remnant parcel between 2 existing subdivisions. Yeah,
Ray, Planning Department. This is a subdivision that's before you. It's part of 2 existing subdivisions and part of a gap that existed between the 2. The cleanest way to do this was to create a new subdivision over that to create a 2-lot subdivision for the Highlands project. The Highlands project is consisting of a VA clinic project and an outlot for detention. Engineering has reviewed this. All of the existing infrastructure is in place. So there's no need to extend anything that's going to take place there. They would just be their own services that would take place. This will fill in nicely there. It'd be a great location for a VA clinic that will service Fremont and Dodge County. It is a private entity that will own it and then lease it back to the VA. So they will be paying property taxes. It meets all of the other criteria that are necessary under the UDC for the subdivision. Therefore, staff recommends approval with the covenant that they supplied for the maintenance of that outlot for the detention.
questions from council? Councilman Horner?
Mayor, not so much a question, well, it is a question. I was wondering if Mr. Powell might be present tonight. And if he's not, that's fine. Could you just pass on? All I want to do is say thanks for bringing this forward. This is I think a very positive thing for the community and for seeing this come in. We won't have, hopefully we'll have fewer veterans having to drive into Omaha elsewhere for services, and we'll be able to get those services done locally. So I see this as a good thing. So if you could just pass on our thanks for bringing this forward.
He is out of town, but he does have another representative here to answer questions.
Councilwoman Ganem?
No, I would like to echo that as well, because it's fantastic to have an actual clinic here. When they built a VA building in Omaha on 156th Street, I thought, well, that will be closer than 42nd Street, but it wasn't. It's for services. It's not a clinic. And looking at the maps, this is huge. It's a large clinic, so it'll serve multiple areas around us, not just Fremont. So it's fantastic that Fremont gets to house this, and that'll be so much more convenient for our veterans and staff that uses it.
Councilman Peterson?
And you probably already said this, Jeff, but did I hear you say they will pay taxes?
That is correct. It's a private entity that owns the building and develops a building and then leases it back to the Veterans Association.
I'm all for that.
So they will be paying their private property taxes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to council for a motion. Councilman Jensen.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to support resolution 2026-189.
Councilwoman Lathrop,
And I will second.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
thank you. Item number 6, resolution 2026-190. Conditionally approve a final plat for Highland Enterprises LLC for property 5, Block 5, Deers 4th Edition, and East 124 feet, Outlot B, Deers 8th Edition, and unplatted remnant parcel between 2 existing subdivisions.
Yeah, Jeff Ray, Planning Director. The final plat is in conformance with the preliminary plat that you just approved. And it is exactly the same with UDC allows us to do concurrent approvals with a preliminary and final plat when they're smaller subdivisions like this.
Comments from council? Councilwoman Lathrop?
I just want to make a comment that it's wonderful, especially on your end, that they come forward being so organized and proactive to get this project going.
Any other comments? I'm going to open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to council for a motion. Councilman Vaughn.
Motion to approve.
Councilman Marsh.
Second.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 7, ordinance 5750, approving the plan development amendment of Lot 1, Johnson Park subdivision and Johnson mixed use plan development generally located at 757 North Johnson Road. First reading. Yeah.
Jeff Ray, Planning Director. Before you have a plan development amendment from a plan development that was previously approved for the Johnson property that allowed for the middle school and several other education facilities to take place there. A planned development then is very specific as to what those specific uses are on those sites and where they are supposed to go. At this time, the city would like to amend that to allow for the satellite fire station to go at that corner of Johnson and Military. It was previously designated as future education or residential. That is obviously not the vision for that today. And we want to amend it to add the site plan that was included with your packet for the future fire station, the satellite fire station there. And then it conforms with all of the other components that were already previously approved under the plan development as well as the current UDC.
Questions from council? Okay, seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Seeing nobody, I'll close the public hearing and I'll come back to council for a motion or any comments. Councilman Vaughn.
Make a motion to approve and hold first reading.
Councilman Jensen.
I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5750, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 3947 as it pertains to the mixed-use development plan for the Johnson property to amend 5.6 acres of Lot 1, Johnson Park subdivision, Fremont, Nebraska, from future development to fire station, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. First reading.
Thank you. Councilman Jensen.
I will make the motion to suspend the rules and move ordinance 5750 to third and final reading at this time.
Councilman Horner.
I'll second.
That motion carries, Mayor, 8-0. Ordinance number 5750, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 3947 as it pertains to the mixed-use development plan for the Johnson property to amend 5.6 acres Lot 1, Johnson Park subdivision, Fremont, Nebraska, from future development to fire station, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date, final reading.
Go ahead and cast your final vote.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5750 is approved.
All right, thank you. Going down to item number 24, ordinance 5749, amending and replacing chapter 6, articles 1 and 2 relating to animal control. Second reading, report from staff.
Okay. We are staff.
I meant council.
So I'd like to present Councilman Paul Von Baron is our chairperson who led this. And I would like to present, I'd like to ask up Brad Yeager and certainly Kelly Steamer, who also participated on this committee as well as I had. So if those two would come up, and there's a reason why I'm asking them. If you have questions, they probably are some of the best people to answer those questions. Kelly from the perspective of a CSO, and certainly Brad, a perspective from the historical aspect. And I mentioned last meeting, that we used a springboard from a previous committee to work on this part for us. And we had presented to you the dangerous dog section, and that had been passed a while back already. So this time you have a red line that you've had an opportunity to preview a bit, but I'd like to ask Brad to just give us a little bit of background and history on this.
Brad Yerger, 2318 East 5th Street. Want to express my apologies to the council for having to exit at the last meeting when first reading was held, so I wasn't here to participate. And thank you again for moving this up in the agenda tonight, primarily as an accommodation to myself for some family issues. But I felt compelled to let the council know some of what really went on behind the scenes in what you're looking at tonight. I know if you were looking at the red line, you'll see that there's an awful lot of red line. Point being to that is that back in 2019, 2020, Mayor Getchman appointed a committee to look into Chapter 6 animal rules and regulations. And that committee was made up of 2 council members, a veterinarian, law enforcement, Chief Elliott, members of staff, McGrath North law firm, and I think Tamar Reed from Dodge County Humane Society was on that committee, and others came and went as we worked through this. We spent about 2.5 years or so going through this section of code pretty meticulously with these kinds of things in mind. We wanted to protect public safety. We wanted to ensure citizens' pet ownership rules and regulations and responsibilities. And we also wanted to look at animal, I guess you would call them rights to a degree, in the sense of fair treatment and the like. We had those objectives coupled with the fact that we needed to tie this into state law, which governs much of what's here, and much of what you see is verbatim to state law. And in some cases that was updated. This committee worked diligently for weeks, months, and into years, sometimes meeting weekly or sometimes less, documenting everything that we were doing, inspecting the law, debating what we really needed to do and accomplish and what we really needed to change. So when you look at all of these changes that are going on, take that into account that I would say 95% of the red line was produced out of this first committee that worked for years to update this code. It was not the smaller committee that are currently working on this. And in between that, McGrath North actually left the city attorney position just as we were closing up the documents to bring to council, and they exited. So it didn't get to council. And then as you recall, in early 2023, late 22, the dangerous dog issues became a paramount issue, and the council wanted, police department really wanted to get that passed. In addition to all of that, the city changed its structure from hiring one agent to do animal control and sheltering to putting in CSOs. So then subsequent to all of that work that went on for 2.5 years, we had CSO review and additional law enforcement, and there was a subcommittee that worked on the dangerous dog piece that involved CSO Kelly Brown, Chief Elliott, Sally Ganem, and myself, as we continued to massage those and brought those changes to council. So those have already been put into code. They were largely ignored then by this latest team because they had just been put into ordinance. And so we focused on all the rest of the code. So with that, we made some additional changes to some of the definitions and some other pieces of code that we felt could have been and should be tweaked up even further than the original committee. And that's what you have before you. This is a culmination of years worth of work, almost 6 years, I think I've been involved in this effort to rewrite this section of code. Is it perfect? That's probably not, but it's largely a major improvement over what we have had in the past that left now our CSOs with the inability to effectively manage animal control in the city of Fremont. So there's a lot of tools that are necessary in this respect. And so I'm hopeful that you find, as you read the red line or read the black line, which is a lot easier, that you can see that that effort that we had, that four-pronged effort to improve the code, manifested itself. As a part of that early dangerous dog section of code, we did enact an appeals commission, which was largely a request from the court system as to, we brought cases to the county, and oftentimes they would say, well, you don't have an appeals process, so you need to have one. So that was built into the dangerous dog section of code that was put in. And that's been functioning. That appeals commission exists today and was appointed. And so that's kind of the background. I wanted to share that at the last meeting because that might help council understand better how much time and effort went into all of this. Considerable amount of time. It's had legal review by McGrath North, as I said, and it had legal review by current council when we did the dangerous dog changes that went in 2023, and we've had legal council review again. Large measure, this is a parallel in many sections, as I said, to state law. One would say, why do you need to have city code if you have state law? It's kind of unfortunate, I think, as a citizen, as somebody that worked on this committee, to find that we have to have duplicates in city code in order to get things processed, because sometimes the county won't do it on the city's behalf. And so largely we see some repeat. You can see exact word for word sections out of our code to state law. So that's the background that I wanted to share at the last meeting, because I think it would help you understand where we've been and how much time and effort was spent on this, bringing this forward to you at this time. Unfortunate that we couldn't do this all in February of 23 when this was initiated, but it's before you tonight. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Councilman Vaughn?
I would be remiss if not to thank former Councilman Yerger for his time and dedication to all this, in addition to our current council members and CSOs and other folks that have been involved. These changes seem to make a lot of sense. They align with state statute. I think this is a home run, and I think it's the right direction we need to be in. I'll just ask you one semi-tough question. Is there anything in there that you would think maybe would cause consternation for somebody else with an opposing point of view? Anything controversial in there?
Well, you're going to get to see an amendment that's already been drafted, I think, for tonight. So that's an area. One of the things is difficult, and that was in the section of, in the dangerous dog section, which was approved in February. There'll be an amendment offered, I think, to try to clarify what you're attempting to do when you distinguish dangerous dogs from potentially dangerous dogs. There is a difference, and some of the constraints should be different relative to if you get one of the PD tickets versus a DD ticket. Your responsibilities as an owner and for the animal itself should be recognized as different. The code that was passed in February didn't do an adequate job of that, so that'll be forthcoming, I think, this evening. Obviously, I'm a pet, not just a pet owner, I'm a dog lover. And so I was one of those that wanted to make sure that we had adequate protections for the animals, for abuse and other kinds of things, and for the owner's rights to have animals within the city and those kinds of things. There was a lot of discussion and debate between those that were in the original committee about that. I'm sure the public has differing views in some cases that, might think that some of these are owners. I think the group tried to make sure that we were as fair as we could be. So like I said early on, it's probably not 100% perfect, but I think it is way better than what we have.
Thank you for the clarity, and once again, thanks for your dedication.
Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, I'll too thank former Councilman Yerger for his work and all committees' work and the past committees' work, the work that's gone on for beyond one committee. I just had a question for Kelly if she's very comfortable with this and gives her CSOs a little cover and the training, the things that they need to have.
We are happy with it. I think one of the other important things to bring up is the feral cat. We want to be proactive in getting feral cat colonies established and having them cared for by responsible citizens. So we have changed some of the requirements in having a feral cat colony, and we have also created some avenues for us to make sure that those animals are cared for, and if they are not, and the caretakers aren't following the rules, then we do have the ability to act on the behalf of those animals. I think that that's going to be a big change, and that if there's any consternation, that may be a place where it's going to begin. But having these things in place, we're trying to look at the future. These cats, the number of cats in Fremont that go at large and then are never picked up again from the shelter is a staggering number. And then the number of cats that unfortunately succumb to the elements and vehicles and things in the world that are feral and do not have caretakers, and that's an issue as well. We want all of that to be better for the cats, for the citizens, for everyone. And so some of the things that we've put in place are going to help us down the road to get that accomplished.
If I could just add, Kelly brought up an excellent point, because our current group of 4 spent a lot of time looking at the cat section, because there are things in Fremont that need to be looked at relative to feral cats. Honestly, the first committee, the larger committee that worked on this for years, largely ignored the cat section of code because it is difficult to come to handling of animals that you can hardly track down and see, except when they're out at night on their own, because they don't exist during the daytime. So it looks like there's no problem when there really is a problem that the city needs to address. I'm glad that Kelly brought that up, because it's definitely something the city needs to keep monitoring.
Councilman Von Baron?
I don't want to drag this out, but in response to Councilman Vaughn's question, it'd be difficult to give too much credit to Brad and Officer Steamer. Brad had the perspective of the background. Officer Steamer kept us grounded. She still will not come out and do anything about our wild geese, but she finally convinced me that wild animals probably aren't in their purview. But that was the kind of input we needed. And we quickly came to the point where I think we're as far as we can go for right now. We also understand there are probably going to be changes needed, but we came to the point where we realized perfection is the enemy of progress. So for right now, we're asking to pass this. If corrections, adjustments need to be made, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure that'll happen, but right now it's where we are, and I think it's a good product. Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Just a quick comment and a thank you. Since I was the one up here that was grousing about not having the red line, thank you very much for the red line. I really appreciate it. It has made it so much easier to read this and understand. I know you guys probably know it like, like the backs of your hands, but for someone who doesn't, this has made it much, much easier. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, thank you. I'll open up the public comments. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to hold second reading of ordinance 5749.
Yes.
Before we get to that,
Sure.
we would like to make one amendment.
I'll withdraw my motion, make the motion to receive.
That's my error. That's my apology for that. We're simple, one amendment. We didn't deem it, talk to Travis, it probably isn't even important enough to write out and pass out to the council, but we did want to make one amendment to make a distinction between the restraint of a dangerous animal and a potentially dangerous animal. One is known to be dangerous, the other one is potentially dangerous. The dangerous animal would state that no owner shall fail to keep that animal securely contained when outside on the owner's property. In other words, not just restrained, but contained, or properly muzzled and restrained by a leash or chain when off the owner's property. So under the owner's full control. In contrast, a potentially dangerous animal, no owner would fail to keep that animal securely tethered by a leash and under control whenever off the owner's property. So the restrictions on their property aren't there, but certainly when they're off the property, it's required that owner keep that animal properly restrained. So we will submit that and add that into with the council's approval. I'd like to move that that amendment be made just to clarify that owner responsibility.
Okay, I have a motion from Von Baron.
Yes.
I believe there was a motion on the floor before to receive something.
We have to receive the amendment.
That's
okay. That was the amendment.
It wasn't for
Then I will second. Then I'll second Paul, Councilman Von Baron's motion.
Thank you.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Yep. I need a motion to approve the second reading as amended. Councilman Von Baron. Oh, Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 5749 as amended.
Councilwoman Ganem.
I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5749, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 6, article 1 and chapter 6, article 2 sections of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding animal control and licensure and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Second reading.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Yes.
If there's no objection, I'd like to take the opportunity to suspend the rules and move this to third and final reading.
I have a motion. Councilman Horner.
I'll second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5749, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 6, article 1 and chapter 6, article 2, section of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding animal control and licensure, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Go ahead and cast your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0. Mayor, ordinance number 5749 is approved.
Okay, thank you. Now we're on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or staff so requests. In which, in event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Does anybody want to remove anything? Councilman Horner.
Item number 14, please.
Councilwoman Ganem.
That's the item I wanted to take off to, item 14.
Okay. Anybody else? So I'll take a motion to pass the consent agenda minus item 14. Councilman Vaughn.
So moved.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 14 is resolution 2026-187, authorizing the special event application for Los Megales for closure of Main Street between 2nd and 3rd Street and outside special designated license on August 8th, 2026. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This is the item to consider the special event application of Los Mezcales. They are wishing to close Main Street between 2nd and 3rd Street on August 8th from 4 to midnight. And they are also, as a part of that, requesting a special designated license for outdoor liquor for this event. Staff has reviewed, and I believe the applicant is also here for any questions the council may have, and I can also answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Questions from council? Councilwoman Ganem?
Okay, I did have a question. Are the other businesses informed that you're planning to close this, and do they agree with that?
You want to state your name and address, please?
Jose Ortiz, 1226 Heatherwood Street in Fremont. Yes, this is actually our second year doing it. We did it last year with a Fremont Hispanic Festival. It was kind of a chaos since we did do the parade and then went back to close the street. So we decided to do it a week ahead. I did talk to all the residents. I actually own Epicentro also. So that's basically just the part where I'm going to close from Los Mezcales, which is our restaurant, to Epicentro. The little strip malls there, we included them in there. The floral shop, the perfume shop, they're going to be part of this event, and we're going to let them sell like, the flower shop's going to sell like little roses and stuff like that. The perfume shop is actually going to get out there and demonstrate their perfumes, have some demonstrations. On top of that, we are doing special events like with CrossFit. I think they changed their name to Fremont Fitness. They're just gonna do like a little demonstration of like maybe deadlifts, whoever does a deadlift and everything. So we are including other businesses into this on that street. Of course, RBR is closed. So the bank closes on Saturday there. So there's no what's called really business going through there. The hair salon, people that in front of beside the parking lot right there, they close early on Saturday, so it doesn't affect their business hours. Artisan bread with Doña Edna, we have told her that if she wanted to come out and do some pastries and sell pastries in this event. She doesn't have the coolers for it, But since there's gonna be still an entrance to her parking lot, there will be like, I mean, and she closes early. She does close at 6 on Saturdays. Or I think 5 on Saturdays. That's the only day that she actually closes. And Tikal is gonna be, it's a corner next to Los Mezcales. And they are gonna be selling raspados, which is like a shaved ice cream. So I have notified all them and try to involve them in this beer festival. Because like, I just wanna make it a little bit bigger every single year. It's just trying to, you know, promote people and bring more people into Fremont.
Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, we appreciate that. I don't have any real objection to this. The only reason that I pulled it tonight was I wanted to use it as the opportunity just to talk about in general. It seems to me as if our requests for events are increasing, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not against that at all. But we have heard from another business in the past on another closing, not this one, but another closing, that they felt like they were being harmed. So I do think we have to keep that in mind, and we have to consider that as we're considering, you know, we've got a great downtown. It's active. I love that. We want to keep that going, but we also want to do it in a smart way and in a way that is respectful of all businesses down there. And so that's the only reason I brought it up, and I was hoping to get it on Michael's radar just to start considering ways that we might be able to address that more. Thank you.
Councilman Jensen?
And I'll second those sentiments. We've dealt with recently with a event that was that way, where the neighbor was not on board and not okay and didn't feel that way. We wanted to make sure the path forward includes the businesses in the area.
So, Mr. Mayor, we do have, and I'm not sure how many, but we do have some applications that have already been submitted that haven't been brought forward because of their event is later in the year. We weren't sure that council wanted us to go back to them and say, you need to contact everyone. We had thought we would just start that with next year with an updated form. But if it's council's wish that we go back to those folks that we haven't approved yet, we'd be happy to do that. Just if you'd let us know.
Councilman Peterson?
Well, and I'm real, this is really great. I'm glad Jody just spoke up, because she's reading my mind here, kind of scary. But at any rate, I commend you for what you're doing, because I'm always afraid of unintended consequences. And we had this before, we've all discussed it. So I really commend you for reaching out to all your neighbors and saying, instead of trying to exclude somebody, saying we can all be part of this, let's all come together. That's really how it works. And I would honestly, not that I have the authority to do this, but I would suggest that we make this an example of how it's done. If somebody wants to close a street and you're not the only one, you don't own the whole block. So if you want to close the street, you're doing it right. Let's get everybody involved. And of course they'd want to be part of that. So going forward, if somebody wants to do that again, I'd say we definitely need to have everybody needs to be on board. I really think that's a good idea. I'm glad how you did it. I'm glad that Jody suggested going forward we should do that. That's my opinion.
And just to add on to that, I have been wanting to do like block parties with other bars and like just include downtown, because I mean we are growing. I mean, and this is what, for me, this is what we really want for Fremont. I mean, we have a billboard outside of Fremont saying "Grow with Fremont," you know, and you know this is something that is gonna. I always felt like Fremont is a center, it's the epicenter of everything. Skyler people from West Point, everybody has to pass through Fremont to get to Omaha. And to attract these people with these little events, I mean, I'm gonna have wrestling, Mexican wrestling. I'm trying to bring people to enjoy the culture, to enjoy time, and to have just a good time in Fremont. And I've noticed like 505 does it, you know. They have asked me to go and do food for them, and I mean they also like it's just Main Street is just a community. I mean, just on their own, and I really feel like this is like you said. I always try to tell people to join together to do this type of events. It's just a lot easier. And I don't want to be having people saying, "Oh, you just blocked my." No, I mean, we put up signs also. They do go through the alley behind Los Mezcales. There is a, like what's called on that strip mall, there is a way to get in and out through there. So, and I do talk to my neighbor, which is, forgot her name right now, but what's called, she does the homes. Oh my God, I forgot her name. Jody. Yeah, so I've talked to her about it too. And like every time I do these type of events, I talk to her about like, hey, can I use your parking lot? It's from this hour to this hour. So I do talk to all my neighbors, like just to make sure that they are all aware what's gonna go on next week.
Councilwoman Gannon?
No, certainly appreciate your efforts. And I'm going to get back to Jody's offer to us, because I would think since they are not approved yet, that we can go back and ask if they have informed all the other businesses. And then going forward in the future, require that. So I would recommend that, or do I put it as a motion in? Just, I would recommend that we do that at this point.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to be a bit of a contrarian. I think it's a wonderful idea, but I also think that we've approved a lot of them this year under the current protocol. And I would hope that we would be fair with anyone that's already applied, and we wouldn't, put them under any undue requirements, new requirements after their application was submitted. I think this is a great idea, not trying to discount the idea at all, but those applications that were already submitted, I think I just want to make sure we're being fair.
Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, I'd kind of echo both of those. I'd kind of like to see it done, but I understand some people that have some applications already, they might have made some financial commitments that are going to cost them something. I wouldn't want to see that happen. I would definitely at least make informal calls and say, hey, this is what we're going to be looking at. So I would definitely try to get your neighbors on board with you. The only other thing about the downtown thing, we have to watch out about not letting these things go too late. We do have residential areas downtown, and we've got to be mindful of that. I mean, they've got to be mindful that they're living downtown, but we've got to be a little mindful of that also.
Councilman Lathrop?
I also want to tell you how impressed I am that you've included so many of your neighbors and that you've spoken with everybody. And I do know that you're active within the community, and that speaks volumes to your commitment to Fremont as well. As far as Jody's comment, I do think that maybe we do need to contact the people. I do think it's a good idea. The last time it happened and nobody was, you've done that, but the last time we okayed one of these, they came to public comment, and it was a considerably loud voice, perhaps, within the community, just stating their concerns about that. And just maybe if we could have them send their neighbors a postcard or give them a phone call, nothing, but just so they're notified, I think would be more than appropriate. So if we could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Councilman Marsh?
Just curious, because I don't know. On that form, do we also contact police and fire and see how they feel about that? Thank you.
Councilman Vaughn?
Just a chance to chime in on the other applicants, and I'm sorry we're keeping you up here so
No,
long.
you're fine.
I do think you've set the precedent, you set the tone, the right way to do it. And I would say that, the other folks who are going to come before us here for these same sort of, events, that they should probably show up and state their case in the absence of some formalized process that we can put into place, subsequent. So motion to approve if nothing else.
I gotta go public comment yet. Anybody else? All right, I go to comments from the public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Vaughn,
Motion to approve.
Councilwoman Lathrop,
Second.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
thank you. All right, unfinished business. Item number 18, resolution 2026-153, authorizing a special event application for 505 Brewing Company for street closures and outside special designated license for a fall festival on October 3rd, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. Staying with the theme so far of tonight, this is a special event application of 505. This is we do have security now, so things are looking up. So we can move forward with this application. Staff has reviewed. The applicant is closing off there just north of their building from 4th Street from Main to Park. This is pretty common for what they do with their outdoor events. And as part of that, they're also requesting a special designated license. The applicant is in attendance. If you have any questions, I can also answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions from council? Seeing none, I'll go to public comment. Seeing none, I'll close that and come back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner,
I will make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-153, authorizing the special event application of 505 Brewing Company for street closures and an outside SDL for a fall festival on October the 3rd, 2026.
Councilman Marsh,
Second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 19, resolution 2026-176, authorizing staff to waive the current hangar lease payments for temporary displaced tenants during the taxiway reconstruction.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Good to see you all. This is a similar process and plan that we followed with the previous runway reconstruction project that we had, just a couple of years ago. So this is what this is asking for the blessing and approval to waive their current hangar rent if they do have to relocate their plane during the brief periods of closure for a handful of our tenants. This closure will be about 3.5 to 4 months for the full duration of the project. So we're just simply asking today for approval. It was approved by the Airport Advisory Board on June 19th, and that's that. There is a figure noted below. Just want to explain the potential fiscal impact. We have really only received a couple requests up until now. Last time it was a little bit longer, larger project. And so we did get right near that $15,000, waiver of fees or lease payments. But I do not expect this one to be that long or extensive.
Questions from council? Councilman Horner?
No question. I was just going to make a comment. This just makes good sense. I mean, anytime you have a commercial lease or anything else, if you're unable to deliver the service, then, if I'm unable to use my commercial space, then I'm going to expect a cessation of my rent. That's what I'm in the lease for. So this only makes sense. Thank you for bringing it up, but this just makes sense.
Councilman Jensen?
They will retain their lease, is that correct?
Absolutely. They will retain their lease. This is just simply for a few of them are going to places like Blair and other airports just to hangar the planes so they can still use those for business and personal reasons while this closure happens.
Councilman Marsh?
You said you only had 2 come forward?
So far, we've just had 2 come through. So not an extensive list. I do expect a few more, especially from our East Apron tenants that those are the folks that are most affected by this project. Unfortunately, they are shut down access from start of project, which began closure on the 27th of this month, and they're shut down through the full duration. We're hopeful and expectant that the project should be able to wrap out sometime mid-September. We may get a little bit sooner than that, or end of September. So they're doing a great job out there. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you. I'll go to comments from the public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilwoman Gannon.
Move we approve resolution 2026-176, authorizing staff to waive current hangar fees, lease payments for temporarily displaced tenants during taxiway construction.
Councilman Horner.
I'll second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. On item 20, ordinance 5743, setting electric rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility Manager. This is the third reading of the electric rate ordinance. As mentioned last couple meetings, this is a 9.5% per year rate increase that we're requesting. The rate study was done by John Kratzky based on the budgets that we're currently in, and staff is recommending that we approve this, or you approve this. Okay. Any questions?
Questions from council? Seeing none. Comments from the public? Oh, I'm sorry, James. Councilman Vaughn.
We may not have to like it, but we understand.
Understood.
Any more comments? I'll go to public comment. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Councilman Horner.
We do like the cool air. And with that, I will make a motion that we approve. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. Ordinance 5743, setting electric rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Councilman Jensen.
And I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5743, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for electricity consumed by customers of the municipal electric system, defining terms, repealing ordinance number 5704, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when the rate schedules are effective, providing for severability, providing this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
I think answer or send your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5743 is approved.
Thank you. Item 21, ordinance 5744, setting the natural gas rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is the gas ordinance, third reading, based on the study by Kratzky. It was decided that no increase was needed for fiscal years 26 and 27, or for calendar years 26, 27.
Okay. Councilman Vaughn.
Just a little bit of clerical. I noticed the ordinance number is listed as 5704, when I believe we are talking about 5744. Clerical thing to clean up. Other than that, motion to approve.
You got that, Michael?
I see 5744.
Is it possible that is the previous electric rate ordinance? We included those. So that might be what it is. I believe the correct ordinance is on page 340. .341 of the PDF.
Any other comments from council? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I will, make the motion that we hold the third and reading for ordinance 5744, setting the natural gas rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities.
Councilman Vaughn.
And with no increase, I happily second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5744, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for natural gas system, repealing ordinance number 5680 and all their ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when the rate schedules are effective, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Cast your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5744 is approved.
Item number 22, ordinance 5745, setting sewer rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is the third reading for the sewer treatment and collection rate ordinance. Based on the study by JK Energy, it was determined that an 8% per year for the next 2 years would be needed for the operations and maintenance of the facilities, and we're recommending that we approve, or you approve that.
Questions from council? Seeing none, comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 5745.
Councilwoman Gannon.
I second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5745, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending rates, minimum charges, and surcharges for the use of the municipal sanitary system, repealing ordinance number 5666 and all their ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when the rates, customer charges, and surcharges are effective, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Cast your final vote. I forgot your water, Mike, sorry.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5745 is approved.
Thank you. Item 23, ordinance 5746, setting water rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is the third reading for the water rate ordinance. JK Energy conducted the study based on the budgets that we have for 25 and 26 and recommended a 6.5% increase per year for the next 2 years for the water rates, and we'd recommend that that gets approved.
Comments from council? Councilman Jensen.
There's no objection here. I just kind of wanted to state publicly and for the record, for our public, that they understand, you guys don't just bring us this the week before the meeting. We've all or most of us have had small support meetings with you people, and I just wanted the public to be aware of that we are watching this stuff.
Thank you. Councilman Von Baron.
And I think along with that, I think the public needs to understand that once in these small meetings, one of the first statements that Jeff made is, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. So there's been no pressure. There's been just simply an explanation of the need. And this is the kind of advanced planning that we need in Fremont to sustain us for the future. None of us like it, but if we don't do it, it's, the saying goes, it's better to be 5 years ahead than 1 day behind. So thank you, Jeff.
Any other comments? Comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council motion. Councilman Horner.
Yes, I will make a motion that we approve ordinance 5746, setting the rates, water rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. Final reading.
Councilman Jensen.
And I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5746, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rates and minimum charges for water consumed by customer and charges for services rendered by the municipal water system, providing when the rates, minimum charges, and charges are effective, repealing ordinance number 5693 and all their ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Thank you. Cast your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5746 is approved.
All right, thank you. On the new business, item 25, resolution 2026-192, authorizing the purchase of electric meters for advanced metering and infrastructure, AMI system, and in estimated amount of $713,000 and $690.
Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. Last year, we approved, or council approved the, well, in 2024, council approved the implementation of the advanced metering infrastructure to be built through our system. The backbone of the system is the electric meters that all other meters talk to. And as of today, we have 9,430 of our roughly 17,000 meters installed. The electric system is reading about 100% of the meters, 99 to 100%. The gas and water are a little bit lower because they don't have a meter right next to them to communicate with. With these meters, that'll fill out all of the electric meters in our system to now be the AMI meters. And it should really improve the efficiency and the feedbacks we get from the gas and water meters. This system not only helps us in meter reading and turn-ons, shut-offs, transfer orders and that kind of things, but even as last night with the outage we had, we were able to see exactly where people were out, and we saw them all come back in as this power was restored. Guys have been using it all the time as kind of a little bit of an outage management system. And so it's proving a lot of benefits for us in the organization. So we're really excited about the project and we like the way it's working out, and the team is just doing a phenomenal job getting everything implemented. Can't thank them enough and recommend that council approves this.
Comments from council? Councilman Von Baron?
Jeff, we've been through this before, but I think just for the public's benefit, there's a lot of concern right now about privacy with flock cameras and all the things that are going on. Could you just go through what these meters will do and won't do? There's always been concern about meters collecting data on that specific household, what's going on inside. So I understand it. I'll let you explain it, but I think it's important the public understand.
Yeah, we, these meters collect, they count kilowatts. We measure voltage and measure amps, and that determines a kilowatt, and it clicks away. We're not, granted, we can see how many kilowatts you're using, because if we have to do a transfer or something, we would read the meter at the final readout, but no, that's all we're doing is we're reading the electric consumption, and then the water and gas meters, they send their consumptions to the electric meter, and we pick them up at the electric meter and send them back here to customer service.
And I think my simple summary on this is basically these meters just let you do remotely what used to have to be done on site by walking out and physically reading meters and those kinds of things.
No,
Is that correct?
we've had radio read meters for a long time. What we had to do was send a technician out in the truck, and he would drive routes.
Right.
And so then they would drive a route and pick up the meters. So we're really, now we don't need to. We have repeaters in various areas of town. All the meters talk to each other. Then they send signals up to the master radios, and then we pull the master radios and bring the information in.
So privacy is not an issue here.
No different than it would have been with our other meters.
Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. So what I think I hear you telling Councilman Vaughn, that if I go stand by my meter and I talk about buying a new fishing pole, I'm not going to get advertisements for fishing pole in my utility bill.
Not from us.
Thank you.
You may on your phone.
Any other comments from council? Comments, any comments from the public?
Sorry, I do.
Seeing none, I come back to council. Councilman Vaughn.
So pardon me for not researching this ahead of time. Something just occurred to me. So there's a certain charge when you are disconnected, and now that's a remote disconnection on a computer somewhere, and not necessarily somebody going out and shutting off your electrical. And then there's a certain fee to re-energize or hook it back up, so to speak. Have we given any thought to that cost, considering that it's become so much easier to just hit the button as opposed to send somebody out?
That part of it we do save on, but we still have all the paperwork to send out the delinquent notice. We have to then wait 20 days. So right now with the shut-offs, we're going to keep the rates the same. With transfers, that's a little different. They don't get charged for that. So if you move out of your house and somebody moves in, that transfer just happens. We read it right there. We don't have to send a technician out to the field to do that.
Thank you.
But we would, ideally, we would prefer people pay on time.
So I'm back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner?
Yes, Mayor. I will make a motion to approve resolution 2026-192 authorizing purchase of electric meters for advanced metering infrastructure.
Councilman Vaughn?
And I will second.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 26, ordinance 5752, modifying the City of Fremont's municipal code to increase spending limits. First reading.
Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This was a change in the legislature this year, Legislative Bill 797, which did a couple things for utilities and public works. The first thing is anytime that a project is assessed against a property, used to be we had to, anything over 30,000 had to be publicly bid. They changed that number to now 90,000. So we'll still get quotes in that, but we won't have to go out for public bids and go to 3 readings in the paper and all that. The other thing it did was it looked at the electric systems enlargements and improvements. And in Fremont's case, for as long as I know, it's been $120,000 for the electric system to spend without having formal bids. That's been that way for a long, long time. The legislature looked at that, and in our class, we have a $56 million a year retail revenue. So that puts us in the category of moving that 120,000 to 750,000 on the electric system. So we're proposing that we change our municipal code to match state statute, and we request that council approve this ordinance.
Councilman Horner?
Just a quick comment. These numbers look big, Jeff. And when I first saw them, I was like, holy smokes. But then I started thinking about it, and that 120 to 750 sounds like a huge jump, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It's been 120 for an awful long time. And if you do the math, inflation adjusted to 750 is probably a pretty reasonable number, would be what my guess is. Probably the same thing with the 30 to 90. In fact, you still might be a little bit behind in today's numbers with some of that.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this eliminates the need to, in an emergency situation, to come get our approval. We can hit the emergency right away.
Yeah, we would be able to get on it right away. We still, there's certain projects that we're always going to go out for quotes. We never just go buy this stuff. So, but there are things that we'll put out for formal bid, even if they're underneath this, because you never really know where you're going to hit. And so, overhauls, inspections, we'll put those out like we always have. But this allows us some flexibility to be able to move some of these projects right along much faster.
Anything else from council? Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Vaughn.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Councilman Marsh.
Oh, second.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5752, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 2, article 5, sections 2-508, 2-515, 2-516, and 2-517 of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding utility infrastructure board and utility spending limits to conform with state statute and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. First reading.
Got to cast your final vote on this one? First reading, I'm sorry. Yep, thank you. Need a motion, Councilman Horner.
Yeah, I would make the motion to suspend rules and hold.
No, we're
fine.
going,
Pardon me?
we're going to it. Is he right? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am. I would make the motion or the request to suspend rules and hold final reading.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second that.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5752, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 2, article 5, sections 2-508, 2-515, 2-516, and 2-517 of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding utility infrastructure board and utility spending limits to conform with state statute and all our ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Now cast your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5752 is approved.
Yep, thank you. Need a motion to adjourn, Councilman Horner.
So moved.
Councilman Jensen.
And seconded.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned. I blew right over.